Let's talk about entering a scene powerfully. A lot of times people want to focus on the end of the scene. That is where maybe the big fight happens, where the big excitement happens, and they neglect the beginning of the scene. Well, first of all, for auditions, that's a terrible mistake to make. That you won't even get to the end of the scene if you haven't done your work for the beginning of the scene. So at the studio, I teach a technique called moment before, how to get to that moment before the scene starts. So, how do you do that? I'm not going to give you all the stuff I give you in the studio, but I'm going to give you a little overview. You're going to want to create what happened before you get into the scene. Rarely given in the script. This is usually where you need to put your imagination in. How did you get there? Um, did you park? Did you drive? What's happening? Did you run? Are you being chased by the alien? What has happened right before? Who were you with? Even if that person isn't entering the scene with you, if the character just came from their boyfriend's house, you're going to come in knowing where you've just been rather than just walking in from action. Details. The more details you can come up with, the better. All of those little specifics. I know if I'm going to be walking a long way and I've got uncomfortable shoes, that's going to change the way that I walk into a room. That's going to change the way that I start the scene. All of these specifics, everything that you can get, everything that you can know. A lot of times in film and television, they're gonna start in the middle of the scene. They have that luxury, unlike in stage where most of the time, although not always, sometimes the curtain rises and we're in the middle of the action. But they might start at the end of your meal in a restaurant scene. You need to know what it was that you ate. You need to know what it was that you drank. That could change your sense memory. Maybe if your character's a little tipsy, maybe if your character's super full, whatever's going on, you need to know what it was that you ate in the scene. And whatever that was, you're a lot of times I'll have somebody coming back. Maybe they've been working out. They've got a towel around them, and the people spray them down with water and make it look like they're sweating. You should know what the exercise was that you did. You should understand what the activity was that you just participated in. There are so many things that you get to create. You should look to the text as much as you can to support that. But those moments before, sometimes it might even, if you need to do your work ahead of time if you want to ask the prop department for something, right? I wouldn't just right before you're going to walk in say, oh, I was thinking I was just playing tennis. Can you give me a tennis racket? No, that's you should do your work ahead of time and let the prop department know, oh, I think my character's a tennis player. Could I get a tennis racket, especially for this scene where I think I'm going to come in from having played? The more you do your work, the easier it becomes for everybody else to do their work. So you need to know where you've been, who you've been with. You need to know where you are. You can't enter, right? You're not stepping onto a set. You're stepping into your house. You're stepping into your in laws. You're stepping into a vacation rental. You need to know where you are. And then also, to enter a scene powerfully, you need to know what is the first thing that you need. Do you need to find the host at the party? Do you need to get to safety because somebody's chasing you? You need to hide. You need to find refuge. Do you need to get something from somebody? Usually the script will be able to help you discover what that is. But everything before and then enter the scene. You start the scene, even if it's not with an actual physical entrance, but you're starting the scene. And I'm telling you, when people tell me that they're waiting for the scene to get going, that's lazy. That's the hard work. And that's the work that the other actors might not be doing. They're just going to focus on that big, showy fight at the end of a scene. And the actors who care, the whole scene is your responsibility, even before the scene starts. Some actors like to do a little improv before the scene starts. If that makes sense and another actor is down for it, I love that. Why not? But you don't need to do that just so you feel like you've already been talking, because sometimes we haven't been talking. Sometimes we come home late at the end of a shift and we don't even want to talk to anybody. So that might not be a way of getting you into the scene. Starting before dialogue is so important as well. A lot of times people don't give themselves time before they speak. Occasionally, certainly in class, I'll tell people, wait, don't talk until you absolutely have to, as an exercise to see, because a lot of times we know our first line, it's at the top of the scene, so we just jump right to it without understanding where that line's coming from. Why am I saying that? Why am I talking about this person? Where did that come from? What was my thought process? So giving yourself some time off the top of the scene. Of course, if the DP or who's ever filming it needs you to speak right away, or there needs to be a camera move that's dependent on your working in collaboration with the rest of the team, is great and important. It's not just you. You've got a whole team that's helping to make this project. But if you've got the first line, you don't have to start your scene with the line. That line might come a few beats into the scene. So I hope I've given you a lot of ideas for ways that you can start a scene powerfully, and maybe that I've spread a little guilt if you haven't been focused on the beginning of your scenes. But I want you to, that the entire scene, all of that is your responsibility. Even if the scene starts without you and you're coming into it later, please subscribe, like, share this with a friend, and I will see you next week. And when you're ready to do what you came here for, we have classes for you in person or online. I'll see you next week.
Marker.
I just kept talking.